Hey, this is Coach Latham, your SOL math coach, and today we're going to be talking about congruent triangles, an important topic in geometry as you prepare for your SOL test. The standard, G6, the student given information in the form of a figure or statement will prove two triangles are congruent using algebraic and coordinate methods as well as deductive proofs. All right, so let's get right into it. And let's talk about these two triangles. And our question here is, we're given that these two triangles are congruent. I want to say a bit about that first. I think this symbol in math kind of makes sense. Let's take a look at it right there. The little squiggly part on top means same shape, and of course we already know that equal means same in amount, or in this case same size. So when you put the little squiggly thing over an equal sign, it's literally saying same shape, same size. And that's what we mean by congruent. So that is the congruent symbol. The next thing that I want to point out is that when you're told that two triangles are congruent, that the order of the letters in the statement is important. If we're given that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle PQR, then we can make statements just based on this statement here. And the first one is that AB, that segment right there, matches up with segment PQ. So I can go ahead and color code these things. I can say that AB and PQ match up. So I'm going to go ahead and color code that. I'm going to use a different color. I could also say that BC and QR match up. So I'm going to say BC, I'll give that a green, and QR match up. And finally, I'll get a different color and match up the other sides, but you can see AC and PR should be the same. So AC and PR should be the same. So that makes it pretty easy once we get here. If we wanted to figure out the lengths of the sides that are missing, well, the blue one right here, or AC, is 6, so the blue one over here is going to be 6. Let's see, the green one right here is 9, or BC is 9, so it's going to be 9 over here. And the red one on the first triangle, AB, was 7, so PQ is going to be 7. And this is basically how you would match up congruent parts, corresponding parts of congruent triangles. Now, we didn't ask anything about angles here, but angle A, since it's the first letter in here, and angle P and the first letter in here are going to be congruent. So if we knew that angle A was 110 degrees, then we would also know that angle P was 110 degrees. When you know that two triangles are congruent, you know that every corresponding part in those triangles are congruent. So what I want you to do right now is to hit pause and try to fill in all the lengths of sides and all the angles in these two triangles, given that they're congruent. So go ahead and take a break and work this one out. Okay, we're back, and we're going to match up corresponding parts between these two congruent triangles, and we'll do the angles first and fill all those in. All right, so A matches M. So if I know one of those two, then I know the other. Let's see, I don't know what A is right here, so I'll look over here. M is 44 degrees, so I'll just put a little 44 right there. Let's see, I know that B is going to match up with N. So B and N go together. B's 101, so N has to be 101. And by process of elimination, we now know that C is going to match O. Well, that makes sense because C and O go right here. And since C was 35 degrees, then that means that O is going to be 35 degrees. All right, we can match up sides. Again, I like the whole color code approach to this. AB and MN are going to match up. So AB goes right here, and MN goes right here. So if AB is 11, then MN is 11. Oh, we've got all three sides, the right triangle's done. Let's do another one. let's say that BC and NO are going to match up. BC and NO are going to match up. And NO is 13, so we also know that BC is going to be 13. Then by process of elimination, the other side that we don't know is going to be 15. So that's how you match them up. All right, now the next part is the part that drives people crazy because you're going to have to memorize 5 different things. And this is the whole point. Suppose that you can't match up every single part of 2 triangles to prove that they're congruent. Well, we have 5 shortcuts to proving that 2 triangles are congruent. And then once you know that the triangles are congruent, you then know that every part is congruent. But you may not know every part to start with, so you have these 5 little shortcuts. And the shortcuts go just like this. The first one we call SSS, and that stands for side, side, side. The second one we call SAS, and that stands for side, angle, side. Now the angle has to be between the 2 sides that you know are congruent. The next one is ASA, angle, side, angle, so the side has to be in between the 2 angles that you know are congruent. And then the last one is angle, side, side. So it's an angle and then 2 sides that don't include that angle. So these 4 things, you know, you can memorize them, and everybody comes up with different ways to do it. The important thing that I want you to notice is that there's a side in every one of them. You cannot tell that 2 triangles are congruent without at least the use of one side. And again, once you know they're congruent, then you can go through and prove that every other part, or you know that every corresponding part is congruent. There's a 5th one. I said there were 5, and it only comes into play when you're talking about a right triangle. If you know that you have a right triangle, then you can do the hypotenuse leg. If you know that you've got a leg in common and you know that you have the hypotenuse in common, then that will tell you that every other part of these 2 triangles are congruent, because just knowing a hypotenuse and a leg is congruent in right triangles proves that the whole thing is. So I want you to hit pause one more time and practice a little bit with matching these up. Over on the right, I've got all of the different relationships that can prove that 2 triangles are congruent. We've got side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, hypotenuse, leg. And then I've got can't prove. There are 2 of them up here that we can't prove are congruent on the information given. So go ahead and give that a shot. Take your time, hit pause. Okay, I'm back, and what I do to make this easy for me, this was never easy for me when I was in high school, is I just call it walking around the triangle. So I start with 2 things that I see in common, like for here, I've got a side that's congruent to a side, and then I've got an angle that's congruent to an angle, and then I've got another side that's congruent to a side. So I go side, angle, side. So that's what I'm looking for over here on the right, and side, angle, side would be the way that I would prove that these 2 triangles are congruent. We'll go ahead and try that approach on the next one. I've got an angle that I know is congruent, the one with the little 3 dashes. Then I got another angle that I know is congruent with 2 dashes, and then I got a third angle that I know congruent, so it's angle, angle, angle. I look over on the right, and I do not see angle, angle, angle. Remember, I said you had to know at least one side to prove congruence, so we're going to say this one is can't prove. We'll go on to the next one. It's a right triangle. It's screaming at us to use the HL. I just need to make sure that I have a hypotenuse in common. Yep. Make sure I have a leg in common. Yep. So this one can be proved by the HL, hypotenuse leg. Let's move down to D. On this one, I know that I've got, let's see, I've got an angle in common, I got an angle in common, I got a side in common, I got a side in common, and then I got another side and another side. So it goes angle, side, side. Let me see if I have an angle, side, side over here. Angle, side, side. I don't see one. What can I do on this one to make it? Well, of course, what I have to do is go back and check my brain here. I don't have angle, side, side. I've got angle, angle, side, angle, angle side, which makes a little bit more sense because I've got angle, angle side right over here. So that one will match up with this. E is my favorite one. Each of the two triangles have three sides that are congruent. So that's the kind I like right there. That one is side, side, side. Let's go on to F. It looks like it's a couple of right triangles, and you could prove that they're right triangles because these two angles right here are said to be congruent, and they make a straight line. So we know they're both 90, but this doesn't really fit our HL for a right triangle. We do have a side in common. That's in both triangles. Then we have an angle. Then we have a side. So side, angle, side works quite nicely for this one. The bottom row, the one on the left, let's see, we've got side, side, angle, angle, side, side. So that too is side, angle, side. We'll pull that one over there. The one in the middle down here, we've got this angle goes with this angle. We've got this angle goes with this angle. And we've got this side that works for both. So it's angle, angle, side. Is that one of them? Yes, it is. And the last one, we've got angle, side, side. Angle, side, side. So we look up there and see if we see an angle, side, side. I don't see angle, side, side. The angle is not in between the two sides. So this is another one that we can't prove. So moving on, the next thing we want to do is look at ones that are on the coordinate plane. So here are two triangles, and we're given that these two triangles are congruent. So let's just go ahead and start matching them up. Let's see, AB and DE match up. AB, so I'm going to put a blue line right there, and DE match up. All right, and then if these two are congruent, then going by the order BC and EF are going to match up. So BC and EF will give green to. And I need to find a color I haven't used yet. I guess we'll use the double red line. And then finally, AC and DF are going to match up. AC and DF. All right, and if we wanted to prove that these two triangles are congruent, my favorite way is side, side, side. So we're going to eyeball it. We're going to say that this one right here has a length of 3 because it's 3 steps up. And we're going to say that this one right here has a length of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, let's see if they match up over here. So the blue side down here goes over 1, 2, 3. Good. And the red side down here goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I could use a Pythagorean theorem to find out what the green side is, since these are both right triangles. But the point is they're both going to be the same. They're going to be the square root of 5 squared plus 3 squared. You really don't have to work that out. You just know that they're the same. So by side, 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 you know that these two triangles are congruent. Now this is the problem that makes a lot of people scratch their head, and it's shown up the past couple years on an SOL test. You've got to try and figure out the missing point. Okay, our first step here is to note that FD, I'm just going to put a little arrow there, matches up to AB. So then down here, FD, I'm going to put a little arrow right there, matches up to AB. I'm going to put a little arrow right there, and that's going to help me. So then my next point is that when I get to the end of these arrows, up here I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1. And so this point will connect my next two. I connect the third side. And what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and make it all the same color, so visually it looks right. And so we're going to make this point E. And if you go through and you match up all the sides, you'll see that we now have two congruent triangles. These are kind of difficult to work with. You can talk to your teacher about getting some extra practice. I hope this has helped you, and this has been Congruent Triangles in under 15 minutes. Go out there and study. You can pass.